How's it going, everyone? On the DoorDash drive right now. Thank you to Johnny Del Rey. You can find his work on SoundCloud for making this song, Mount Aquina. Riding around here in Avondale, West Phoenix type area. So wow, today we've got a big podcast, a lot of stuff going on in the news right now, namely that the US killed an Iranian general named Soleimani. I think that's how you pronounce his name, and many are calling it what could be the start of World War III. Knock on wood. Keep it all good, right? So let's talk about it. Yes, this could lead to World War III. World War I was started over something somewhat similar. I think the big difference is that a man killed in the 1910s who started World War I was royal family. This is a military general leader, but definitely people have started wars over generals being killed. So let me lead off by saying that, a lot of people online are saying, both jokingly and also not, that it is World War III now. And I'd like to say, in many ways, World War III had already been kind of started, but the way it had been started was covertly. I think more often than not, the wars that are fought in today's age, which today is January 4th, 2020. By the way, Happy New Year. First podcast of the new year. A lot of people fight covert wars, which take cloak and dagger style tactics, and they never really stop because they themselves are sort of illegal according to most of the rules of ways wars are supposed to be waged. I'd like to say Iran does this too, by the way. They engage in some covert wars, and they have their own sort of tactics when it comes to that stuff. But America is a little bit famous for their use of covert wars, and I guess what I'm trying to say is the wars never really stopped. You know what I mean? Unfortunately. Now, thankfully, it stopped in a way that millions of people aren't losing lives over the course of years due to fighting and conflict, or at least major centralized fighting and conflict, but it still is a global conflict no matter how you look at it. So many different countries are involved. One of the things that the 2016 election brought us was, well, not me specifically, but brought America and many of the people in it, is that a lot of people interfere with other people's elections. America involves itself by interfering in other people's elections, and other countries, including Russia, interfere with our elections. Knowing that, you should try to stay informed and be aware that even if you have a reporter who is totally informed on the subjects, knows the history, has been to the area of where the events are happening, and is the best person to get information from when it comes to whatever case or event he's talking about, even he, as a human, is infallible. Nobody, or is fallible rather. Nobody is infallible. Nobody is infallible. We're all human, capable of error. And I could tell you that sometimes we think that we have the 100% facts when really it could be proven wrong in the future due to some unforeseeable circumstance or something discovered perhaps. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, World War III could happen. I personally don't believe that's what will happen because it's been a couple days now since this general's been killed, and nobody so far has made any kind of threats or declared any sort of action against it. I'm sure Iran eventually will, and I think they did say a couple things in their media, but I actually have not heard much. So what does that lead me to believe? It leads me to believe that they may not just let it go, but they're going to have to kind of let it slide, because there's just not much they can do, and I don't think anything that they could do would be worth any of the consequences of the actions they could take. Namely, involve a bunch of allies in whatever war or conflict they would declare against the U.S., starting a World War III. So, all that being said, what should we do as regular people? If you're anti-war, you should protest war. If you're logically minded more than you are anti-war, then you should look at the facts and get into it and decide whether or not this is just, because the U.S. has been accused for a very long time of trying to start war with Iran. They've done several provocations over the years, and this might just be another straw on the camel's back. I don't know, but this is how it's been for a very long time, and at this point, I'm liable to believe that probably nothing will happen. Very little, if anything. They might make some trade sort of restrictions to the U.S., which would hurt us still. Recently, they found, I think, a few billion barrels of oil worth underneath Iran, and maybe that's the whole reason they went and killed that general anyway. Everyone knows, America, we need our oil, right? Modern way of living. We need our oil. So that's that. As far as other things going on in the world, it was New Year's recently. Unfortunately, we had fortunately, we almost had another church shooting in Texas. And truthfully, I haven't looked into it that much. I don't know a whole lot about it. But I do know that it was stopped because someone else was armed, a legal Second Amendment respecting American citizen, and was able to stop this man who was a clear fucking danger. And I have to say, thank you to the American citizen who was armed. Thank you for being vigilant and stopping that man who would have probably committed serial murder out of nothing other than just, well, like I said, I don't know much about the case, but I mean, there could not have been very good reason for going into a church with the intention of shooting multiple people, hoping they'd die. I don't think there's any kind of reason besides maybe some Catholic Church style stuff in that regard. Oh, tonight's a busy night. So anyway, I'm going to go in here and pick up this DoorDash order, and I'll be back. Chili's, baby. What's up? We're back. So, I'll probably be pausing again, to deliver the DoorDash, but just know that don't stop the podcast. Nothing can stop the Night Rider. I just saw a shooting star. Dang, too bad I didn't have my car pointed that way, but I definitely just saw a shooting star. Wow. Amazing. So anyway, we had a church shooting, stopped by Second Amendment carrying Second Amendment respecting and self-defending American citizen. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is why we should have the right, to carry firearms. This is why that's proof in the pudding that it works, and that sometimes, unfortunately, people get messed up in their lives and they start wishing ill will on others, and that's a terrible thing. But I think we've all, if you're old enough, we've all been in a place where you start feeling down, you start feeling like the world is at fault or society has judged you in some way, so it's the whole of humanity that needs to be brought down or hurt to in order to right the wrong. And I think we all, if you have been in that spot, hopefully can say, like I do, that obviously that's not the case. That's just oh boy, they got me going all kinds of places here for this DoorDash. that's not the case. It should not be the whole of humanity that should suffer. In fact, really, it shouldn't be any of humanity that suffers for us to feel better. If anything, you should hold the people responsible that are making you feel less than or putting you in some kind of suffering. Now, sometimes that can be hard to do because we love sometimes the people that are the cause of the harm or suffering we're experiencing, or maybe we don't love them, maybe there's no relation to them, but we can't do something about it. And oftentimes, sometimes even if you could do something about it, doesn't necessarily mean that you should or make it right to do so. When it comes to that, you just got to know that life is hard for everyone. We all go through some disappointment and misery, and it's all about how we pick ourselves back up and what we do with it once we pick ourselves back up that makes us who we are. That's what defines a person's character. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets knocked down every once in a while. Like that old song used to say, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. I mean, that's true. You should never let anything keep you down. All right. Now, recently I suffered a knockdown, but as you can see, I'm out here not taking that. I was actually let go from a job recently, and that's a knockdown, but shoot, even before I was knocked down, I was on my way to getting back up because I was working DoorDash. You know what I mean? So, point is you should always try to pick yourself back up. Always look for an avenue or an option that'll help you, that'll enrich your life, and choose wisely when it comes to that stuff. Here, hold on. Let me pick up this order. And we're back. So, I love coming to Chipotle. It's one of the best places to pick up food from, and I tell you what, a lot of people love Chipotle. Ooh, boy, do people love Chipotle. So, back to my saying, the Second Amendment works. People should arm themselves. I myself don't carry a firearm at the moment. I'm getting one soon, but I do carry weapons. I have a knife. I carry around a katana because I'm part of the Hollow Squad, boy. Whoo! Anyway, I've always carried a katana around. I just think it's cool. And let me put it like this. If I get into a fight with someone and I end up hurting them or killing them because I hit them with my samurai sword, you know they done something fucked up to get into my space and make me want to take out a samurai sword. You know what I'm saying? Knock on wood, Hopefully that don't ever have to happen. Thankfully, I'm a pretty peaceful person, and so are most people, actually. But anyway, speaking of peace, let's talk about something a little nicer, since we've kind of filled this podcast up with politics and dread and freaking drama. This might be the year that we have the next big technological breakthrough. I forget what they call the law, but there's a law, sort of an unwritten rule, that says that about every 4 years, technology makes a great leap in innovation, in position. To give you an idea, the processor, which is basically the brain of a computer, microprocessor, went double its power within 4 years. So they created the processor. In 4 years, I think it doubled its power. In another 4 years, it quadrupled its power. So that's what I'm trying to say as far as like every 4 years, technology makes a big advancement. And what are we going to see this year? Well, very, very possible we might see some cyborgs. Very possible we might see these Boston Dynamics robots actually be put to use in the field. And, the joke is that the Terminator becomes real. If you've ever seen any of the first couple Terminators, it starts with basically cyborgs going out into the field and the network of computers becoming autonomous and deciding that they could run this earth better than most of the humans in it. Well, I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. I think if anything, the US is going to have an elite sort of police force or military force that uses these androids and continues to do what we've been doing for the past 100 or so years. Many would argue that that's not accurate, by the way. If you don't know, America was much of an isolationist country before World War II was over. And that's because, for the most part, we stuck to our own business. World War I, we had to be talked into. In fact, there's a whole conspiracy that basically the British were conspiring to get the U.S. involved in World War I and World War II, by the way. It says something about this great country of ours. A lot of people think that we try to be the world's police, we go sticking our nose in other people's business. Well, just know that it didn't start out like that. But anyway, back to my point. What was my point? I don't remember anymore. Shoot! Well, forget it. We'll just move on. How did that happen right now? I don't even know. I got so caught up in trying to tell you how America used to be an isolationist country. Oh, for the past 100 or so years. We're going to continue doing what we're doing, but now we have this robotic elite force that, while is going to be billions and cost probably millions to maintain and continue to develop, because we're not stopping here. Just because we have androids out in the field that are super capable and advanced all type of skills and motor skills, tactics better than humans, doesn't mean we're stopping here. So what becomes next after that? I really don't know. Could be androids, could be cyborgs, could be a new innovation in cell phone technology. I know that 5G was rolled out this year, and there's a lot of scary information about that, causing people getting it's causing some people cluster headaches. Some people are having to move away from areas where 4G or 5G is used. So maybe we'll see some kind of innovation with that. Maybe this will be the year that we finally go to Mars. Maybe Elon Musk will finally figure out some sort of passenger rocket so that we can start doing regular missions to Mars again. Now, I know SpaceX has gone out and I think even gone beyond Mars. Most of its missions are classified, so we won't know for probably many years from now. But that's another possibility. Another possibility is the underground tunnels, Hyperloop, I think it's called. Elon Musk for a while has been digging these tunnels under LA and California to try and relieve some of the congestion of the traffic there. As someone who drives in Arizona and has to deal with traffic, I could say I definitely would welcome something like that. I'm not even in LA and I could welcome something like that, so I think that says quite a bit right there. So, yeah, there's a lot of new possibilities, fun stuff happening. Something to look forward to, if nothing else, right? I think so. Anyway, everyone, thank you for joining me on this podcast. I have more coming up for the Night Rider podcast. You can also check out my other podcast, Pals in Your Pocket. You can find me pretty much anywhere at THC High 5, THC HI5, or TJ Kush. Tom Sutherland on Facebook. See you on the real side. We're going to go out to my friend Marty Smiles. This song's called Eagle. You can find his stuff on SoundCloud.
Listen, don't got time for sneak dissing. We peep niggas with bad intentions. Your decisions in hands of the fate you were given. All that fruit you've been partaking, it just might be forbidden. On a quest or a mission, seeking for better self. That's the heart, not the head, cause I taught the pen well. I've been running from my demons, them and it's gonna fail. I hope you know you are conceived when you follow chemtrails and everything you may believe in. There's a twist or a tweak or a